you want to apply to an apartment in Manhattan, this is what you need to know. Summer of 2021 was a crazy season of record high rents, and there was a lot of competition for a very limited number of apartments that were on the market. Expect very high rates as you're going into the summer of 2022 for an apartment in Manhattan specifically, and or other parts of the city as well. I'm giving you this advice, not advice, as a property manager or somebody who has real estate experience in New York City. And I personally reviewed many applications when it came to rental properties. So if you specifically want to rent in Manhattan, the target financials that we look at are 40 times the rent. So for example, if you are applying for a $2,000 apartment, we're looking for at least an $80,000 income. So 2 times 40. The idea or the concept of it is that it should be about 40% of your income. So in the event that you have any other types of bills or expenses, the landlord makes sure that you can afford the apartment if your expenses change going up or down. If the rent is $4,000, you need to show that you have 40 times 4, at least $160,000 income combined and or individual, depending on how many bedrooms that you're applying for. And that could be a combined income too. So if you're 2 people applying for a $2,000 a month apartment in Manhattan, you're gonna be looking at a combined income of $80,000, so 40-40 split works. In order to prove that income, you're gonna have to provide some documents. These documents that the broker might request from you: your government issued ID, 3 to 4 months of bank statements to prove that you have income coming in, to see what your current balances are, and you can supplement it with other types of information as well. About 3 to 4 different pay stubs, the most recent pay stub that you had, 2 years of tax returns, at least 1. They're gonna look for at least a 700 credit score. It's usually a soft credit check, so it doesn't really hit your credit that much, but that's definitely a factor. Some supplements that you can look for are your investment accounts. That might show, like, for example, if your bank balance is a little bit low, they want to see if you have any liquid assets. They consider stocks under liquid assets. So if you have like brokerages, something like Webull, Robinhood, Public, links in the description down below, they'll use that against your liquid assets and say how much money you actually have. If you have a guarantor that can supplement your income, or show that, for example, you have no income and your parents or somebody that you know is willing to guarantee the lease or the term of the lease, they need to have at least 80 times the rent. So if it's $2,000, you need to show an income of at least $160,000. Recently, because of the pandemic, landlords are asking for landlord reference letters of your previous residence to make sure that you didn't just break your lease in the previous location that you were at. What you also need to know or pay attention to are broker fees. So you'll see some listings on something like Street Easy or apartments.com, whatever it may be, and it'll show you it has a broker fee or no fee. Or they'll say fee or no fee. If the apartments are in high demand and the rents are very high, then most likely you, the tenant, are going to pay the broker fee. If the market ends up being a little bit lower or there's a lot of inventory, then the landlord takes the broker fee on their side. And there's a split between the landlord and the tenant. Something else you want to pay attention to is gross rent versus net rent. Or they'll say something like there's a month free or not. For example, if you have a $2,800 rent as gross, they might say with 1 month free on a 14th month lease. So that means is that you are actually paying $2,600 a month. So you'll see a listing that says $2,600, gross 28 with 1 month free on a 14-month lease. The way you do the calculation is that you take the gross rent, $2,800 in this example, multiply it by 13 in this example, meaning 1 month less than the full term of your lease. In this case is 14 months. So you take 28 times 13 divided by 14, and that'll give you a net rent of $2,600. You could get this $2,600 in 1 or 2 different ways. So for example, you can pay $2,800 a month for 13 months straight, and then your last month, or maybe your first month, depending on how you negotiate it, you'll get it for free. Or you could take a $200 credit every month. So meaning instead of paying $2,800 a month for 13 months, you pay $2,600 a month for the term of the entire lease of 14 months. If you're only using a 12-month example, you do gross times 11 divided by 12, and that'll give you your net rent or whatever the concession amount is gonna be. At the time of signing, you're gonna need first month's rent, 1 month security, and depending on the broker fee, whatever you guys negotiated. If your credit is low, there's an alternative, and or if you don't want to pay a security deposit, they have these third-party agencies that do a bond. You either pay 50% of the security and they hold it into a bond, which may or may not be refundable depending on the logistics, or you pay about 70% depending on what the situation may be. This opportunity is there for people who usually have low credit or they want alternative guarantees on the lease. So a landlord, even though you may have the money, may not want to take the liability of giving a lease to you, and you might break it halfway there. So this is a good alternative for somebody who has low credit in the 600 range. So you guys went through the whole thing. Good luck on apartment hunting in New York City in the summer of 2022. And if I'm gonna reuse this video, summer 2023. Sorry guys, I'm a little cringy. But if you have any questions, put your questions down in the comments below and I'll try to answer them from whatever real estate experience that I had and my background. And yeah, like, subscribe for more videos and content. And if this was really helpful for you, put a thumbs up in the comment section. All right, bye-bye. Bam.